New York, big city of dreams. I'm coming straight out. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.
What's going on? It's Jealous for Nick of Time Show. Here to give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. We're doing an impromptu live this morning. Wasn't able to really catch the game last night, but I caught it early this morning. Recorded it, caught the DVR, and I wanted to talk some Knicks talk with you guys today just to see what you guys thought of the game. This is an impromptu here to give you that Knicks talk. I want to see who's going to come through. I'm expecting a bunch of people right now. I'm really not expecting that much people, but we'll see what we got. We're going to give you some Knicks talks in this morning, right? I don't know where you're going. I don't know if you're going to work. I don't know if you're on your way to school. But wherever you are, if you're listening with me, rock with us. Hit a 1, hit a 2. We're going to give you some Knicks talk this morning. We're going to discuss these Knicks, man. These Knicks. The New York Knicks barely beat. What's going on, my guy SK? Yo. The Knicks barely beat the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. Wasn't able to do the post game, but I still want to talk about it with my peoples over here on the KOT side. Knicks beat the Timberwolves barely. But we ended up getting a W anyway. 103-99. Definitely want to talk about it. Shout out to everybody who's entering the chat. What up, SK? I see you, my guy. Obi with 9 minutes. Yeah, man. We're going to talk about that, man. Only 9 minutes today, man. Crazy win. I'm going to wait a minute till I see maybe some 10, 15, 20 people. Then we actually get to start to this Knicks talk, break down this game. But salute to my guys. Salute to everybody who supports Knick of Time Show. Salute all you Knicks fans. Salute everybody who watches the Knicks. Ready to get this pass. What's going on, Militant You Sound? Big up to you, my guy. Getting ready to get these Knicks talk. First and foremost, we did win. So just because we did win this game, we get to start it off with the gunshots, right? The gunshots. We got to start off with the gunshots early. Always got to start off with the gunshots. But it's not a big celebratory, we did what we supposed to do type of win, because that's not what happened today. We didn't really do what we supposed to do. We didn't handle business like the way we usually supposed to handle business. But we'll get into this in a second. All right, cool. You know what? Let's get this popping. So, the Knicks beat the Timberwolves. It could have been a disappointing game for us because, you know what? We just lost to the Orlando Magic. It was a bad loss. And the Knicks had a week off. We got some practice in. I thought we might see some different lineups today because it was reported by Mark Berman that the Knicks were practicing other lineups this week. We didn't really get this chance to see them because we still didn't see any Kevin Knox. We still didn't see any Frank Ntilikina. But the Knicks did get to practice with Derrick Rose and company for the first time, because Derrick Rose, he just got here from the Detroit Pistons trade. He didn't really have that much time to get his practice time in. And for the first time in a week, he was able to practice with these Knicks. And we got to see a little bit of that proof today. I'll say this. As far as today's performance, it didn't really show that he practiced that much with the team. But, it takes time. But, I'm gonna get off of Derrick Rose. I'm gonna start with the pros, man. I'm gonna start with the pros of this game because there were certain nice things to watch in this game. And the biggest and most notable thing to notice with this team that's been consistent with this team all year is, of course, Julius Randle, right? Julius Randle, he finishes the game with 25 points. He led this team to victory. He was content. He was content with just facilitating. He wasn't really forcing the issue in the first quarter. He was content with just facilitating. And you know, he was a leader. The team responded because of that. He only had like a few assists in the first half. And the team followed his lead. He knows at this point, Julius Randle knows that he is the leader of this team and he can really get his points whenever. So he really didn't even rush to get his points. And what I liked about Julius Randle this game was he picked his spots. You know what I mean? He picked his spots. Hold on. I'm looking for my stats for Julius. He's finished the game with 25 points, 4 assists, 14 rebounds, 8 from 16 from the field goal percentage from the line, 2 of 4 from 3. All right. Now, one of the things that I liked about Randle in this game is you can tell, not even just Randle, just the Knicks in general. The Knicks look like they worked on their zone offense. That's the first thing I noticed, because the Timberwolves are playing zone. They were going between zone and man-to-man. And usually what we've seen all year from these Knicks is the offense stalled when that happened. But they found their ways. They found ways to score between going to zone and man-to-man. And Julius Randle and even RJ Barrett had a lot to do with that, you know. It's funny because this team didn't really shoot well from the three-point line. Only in 30%, around 30% from the three-point line today. But they still found ways to score. And a lot of that has to do with filling in those gaps around that mid-range area and making plays from there. And I felt like they did that successfully in that first quarter. SK says, did you watch the interview with JJ Redick? I absolutely did watch the interview with JJ Redick, man. And top of the morning to you, Nick him up. Shout out to you, my guy. I definitely watched the interview with JJ Redick. Great interview, a lot of good insight. Listen, like, most notably is the accountability factor, man. The accountability factor. Julius Randle asked for accountability. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. He went Worldwide West. Yo, shout out to Worldwide West, first of all.
Shout out to Worldwide West.
Worldwide West actually came to him and asked him, hey, man, what do you need from your coach? And he said he wanted a coach that gave him some accountability, man. And it's telling. That's a telling statement from your lead guy in the franchise who's asking for accountability. That means we really haven't had that here. And we all have known that we even had accountability here. But for him to point that out lets us know that, you know, Knicks fans aren't crazy. Knicks fans aren't crazy. We really didn't see accountability across the board, and we're glad we had that in Tibbs. And you can see it in the way that we even played this game today. All right? Now, to continue this breakdown in this game, what I loved about Julius Randle as well is what I was worried about anyway, right? The fourth quarter, when Julius Randle started to do his thing, it seems like he was hesitant to shoot. And the plays that were working in that first quarter weren't really working in the fourth quarter. I feel like the Timberwolves kind of played the averages, man. They tried to lay off these Knicks. They tried to hunker down, have Knicks shoot threes, and force these guys to shoot threes and mid-range shots. And credit these Knicks. Definitely credit these Knicks, because even though the Timberwolves were trying to give them those shots and trying to force them to make the mid-range and finally force them to make the three, the Knicks, for the most part, really didn't take those type of shots. They kind of got a lot of their shots towards the end of the game was in that mid-range in that lower mid-range area. But I was concerned. I definitely was concerned by the end of the game because I don't think that it seemed like, Julius Randle was a little bit hesitant to take those shots. But thankfully, we actually made the shots. He made a lot of the big plays towards the end, and he didn't really have that much help except for R.J. Barrett, you know what I mean? But Randle, at the end of the day, he made some big plays. Key moments was, about a minute left. He hit clutch free throws, 2 clutch free throws, some free throws that he missed last season. He hit this season to win the game. Hit some of those. He overcame some bad turnovers that he had. Because I do feel like the Knicks lost their concentration a little bit, most notably in that fourth quarter. When the Timberwolves started to chip away at the lead, we saw he threw a pass to Elfrid Payton that Elfrid Payton wasn't waiting for. After Elfrid Payton was calling for the ball, Elfrid Payton called for the ball, said, "Hey, give me the ball." Passes the ball to Payton when he wasn't looking, turnover. Also, another play, Julius Randle driving to this didn't really seem like they were mentally there. They took the Timberwolves, for me, they took the Timberwolves for granted. And we kind of lucked out that this team isn't a team that's used to closing out games. Because the Timberwolves just lost a close game to the Raptors. They lost a few close games. And I do feel like their youngness and their inexperience, they showed out today. It showed out today for sure. Because you know what? This is not the first close game that they ended up losing. And it seemed like cooler heads prevailed on this Knicks side of the basketball, you know what I mean? Between him and R.J. Barrett, who was our facto number 2 player this game, we were able to find a way to close the game, thankfully. And also Alec Burks, who, had a decent game, around 13 points. He was able to hit some clutch free throws towards the end to seal this win. All right. Another notable point. Let's talk about R.J. Barrett for a second, right? Because R.J. Barrett, he finishes the game 21 points, 10 of 20, 50% from the field, 4 rebounds. R.J. Barrett now for the last few games, he hasn't really been getting the minutes that he's used to getting. He started off in this league, leading the league in minutes. I actually was on a CP show on Knicks Fans TV. He was complaining about how much minutes he was getting and his ineffectiveness of scoring while playing these large amounts of minutes. Now, over these last few games, he's only been getting 25 minutes a game. So it was notable to see that RJ was in the game towards the end of the game, and the coach starts to actually trust him again. Because again, a game or two ago, the coach went with shooting and took RJ Barrett out the game, and he ended with a lineup with Reggie Bullock in it, along with Alec Burks, and it didn't really work out for us. This game, though, it seems like nobody was able to hit a 3, really. You know what I mean? And just because RJ Barrett was playing well, he just said, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna just go with RJ Barrett anyway, and ended up paying dividends. Now, RJ, he did a really good job on both ends of the court. He little broed Anthony Edwards a little bit. You know what I mean? He little broed Anthony Edwards a little bit. Anthony Edwards didn't get off today. Shout out to SK for the super chat, man. He sent a $10 super chat that says, just want to support the KO2 show. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. So like I said, what I like about RJ Barrett, and when he has to keep doing, is RJ has to keep getting into that mid-range game. But the thing that I liked about RJ Barrett this game was he didn't really go. He was not as efficient as he usually is in that mid-range in that 12-game stretch when RJ was going on that tear. But despite that, he was still able to get to that left hand, and kudos to Tom Thibodeau, who he constantly called plays to get RJ downhill, going to his left side, and he was able to do that today as well. Even though it just seemed like towards the end of the game it was kind of hit or miss. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of hit and miss at the end of the game. He missed a lot of those easy bunnies that he usually gets, but at the end of the game, he hit the shots that he's supposed to hit. And a notable play to me, anyway, towards the end, was with the game on the line, under 4 minutes left in the game. Julius Randle seemed to be getting bottled up. He passes to RJ Barrett in the left corner. Anthony Edwards is on him. RJ drives to the middle. Anthony Edwards tries to cut him off. He spins back left to his strong hand to score at the and one. You know what I mean? And that's just one example of RJ. He just knows better this time, man. He knows where his spots are on the floor. You can tell that was premeditated. He was going to that middle just to spin back left and get that and one. Now, I wish he would have hit the free throw, because he still needs you to hit those free throws. He's been improved from the free throw line this season, in that 70th percentile from the free throw line, but we need him to be consistent all year round, and hopefully he can continue to develop in that manner when it comes to RJ. All right. And shout out to the chat, everybody who's coming in, man. I know this is the impromptu KOT recap of these Knicks versus Timberwolves win. All right. So shout out to you. Shout out to Ron's Brunswick year. Shout out to you, guy. Shout out to Nick him up. He says the Wolves are more discombobulated than us. That was a pretty messed up to fire my man like that. Yeah, man. The Knicks seem to get teams in trouble, man. They seem to get teams in trouble. Every time a team tries to play us, they get pissed and they fire somebody. It seems like the thing that the Knicks do is kind of messed up. But listen, man, that's not the first close game. That's not the first close game that they lost. I feel like the Timberwolves feel like they were tired of it. But you know what? That team, they've had a lot of problems, man. D'Lo and Cat, they haven't been playing well together. I mean, they've only played 5 games together. So I do feel like it is kind of unfair for him to be fired already. You know what I mean? But yeah, absolutely. But absolutely, it was a rough game to watch. You know what? And I'm going to get to this one more thing that I like before I even get into the things I don't like. I'm going to get into Elfrid Payton. Because I kill Elfrid Payton on this program all the time. And he's been playing well in these past 8 games or so. He's been averaging 15 points a game, right? He's been going to the hole with gusto, and he's been finishing at the rim at a pretty decent rate. Listen, when you look at a cleaning glass and Elfrid Payton's finishing rate, it's been below average this entire season. When I checked this morning, Elfrid Payton's finishing rate, he's actually on par. It's actually middle of the road now as far as point guards in the NBA, which is something. So he's actually improved in this 8-game stretch, and it's showing in the stats. And today was no different. You know, Elfrid Payton, you know, he thrives when there's no real shot blocker in the paint, and the Timberwolves are a team that doesn't really have shot blocking. So this is a game that Elfrid Payton can actually show off, right? And he did that today. And the 7 assists were something that I want to see more of. I feel like Knicks fans in general, we already know his shortcomings. We know these team shortcomings. This team can't shoot. But we'll be able to stomach Elf a little bit more if he's hitting those drives to the rim at a consistent basis, like he's been doing recently, and he's actually diming up teammates. And we've seen some examples of that today, like we saw RJ Barrett get a rare fast break point. A rare fast break pass from Elfrid Payton, go ahead and pass for an easy deuce. We need to see more of that from Elfrid Payton. Now, it's interesting to see towards the end of this game, listen, the team, we got beat because of the second unit. Let's get into the elephant in the room. The second unit didn't really step up. Emmanuel Quickly and Derrick Rose. We thought this was gonna be the mob. This is gonna be the mob. Derrick Rose came in there like gangbusters. And I gotta be honest. The first few games that Derrick Rose played with the Knicks, he's played very well. I do feel like, though, that a lot of that to me is adrenaline. You know what I mean? Because, he's been in a bad situation in Detroit. He's kind of been sitting on the bench. He's come back. He's reunited with his coach. He's able to play freely. And I do feel like a lot of that good play with the Knicks was adrenaline. Because the first few games Derrick Rose had, he was shooting 60% from the field. And as a guard, that's just not sustainable. You know what I mean? It's not sustainable. With that being said, the benefit of having Derrick Rose here was you were able to, give quickly a break and have him play a little bit of off ball. And as long as Derrick Rose is scoring, it takes some of that pressure off of quickly. But when he's not scoring, I do feel like the pressure is a little bit on right now. And that's what you've been seeing these last few games. Now, I will say this as well. Even though Derrick Rose is struggling right now, I don't expect it to last this long. I do feel like the way he came in, it's a little bit high. He's not going to 60% all the time. But right now, where he's at right now, it's a little bit too low. I don't think he's not going to shoot 1 for 8, 1 for 10 the entire season. You know what I mean? It should be somewhere. It should start to pick up the more reps he starts to get with this team. And I do expect for him to get to the lineup a little bit more and to at least get back to around the 14 points per game. I'm not sure how his shooting is going to be. I'm not sure if he's going to be a 3-point shooter. I'm not sure how he's going to finish. But I do feel like that mid-range and some other shots will start to fall a lot more. And we shouldn't panic just yet. But we really do need Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickley to really start to pick things up a little bit for the squad. Because it's putting too much pressure on this first unit. But it's still interesting though to see that what Tom looks for and Tom's trust. Because I will say this. The first time this bench unit struggled, Tom Thibodeau let them rock, if you notice, He's trusts Derrick Rose so much, and he kind of trusts Emmanuel Quickley a little bit as well, that first game where they wasn't really scoring, he just kind of let them get the whole quarter without pulling them. This game was a little bit different. Once that fourth quarter lead shrank, he pulled the plug on them immediately, and especially Emmanuel Quickley. It comes to show you that, Derrick Rose is really the guy he trusts. Me, when I'm watching the games, I'm watching for substitution patterns. So I'm watching who's the first man in, the first man out, and who does Tom Thibodeau trust. Because Tom Thibodeau, for me right now, as you can see, when he's coaching, he's not a guy who likes to experiment really that much. I do feel like he experiments within transition of subbing in and out of players. He kind of likes to stick to what he knows. And what he knows is Derrick Rose. And when we struggle, he's going to go right back to Derrick Rose. You know what I mean? So take note of that. Definitely take note of that. Because it definitely happened. That transition, the first game with Derrick Rose played with the Knicks, Derrick Rose and Quickley came off the bench together during that Atlanta game. That was the first substitution pattern. Now we're starting to see Derrick Rose is the first guard off the bench. He's the de facto sixth man now. You know what I mean? So keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on who Tom Thibodeau is going to trust long term with this team. So it was interesting to watch that Tom went to Derrick Rose first when his team got in trouble. But getting back to the second unit, and another thing I want to point out about this game, right? I want to talk about foul trouble, because foul trouble played a huge role in this game. We really miss Mitch. and it showed today because shout out to Nerlens Noel. Nerlens Noel is number 5 in shot blocking in the NBA, and he held his own today. He had 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks in today's game, right? First half of the game, played pretty good defense on Cat. Got him frustrated. Second half of the game comes along. That third quarter was pivotal. The third quarter is usually the quarter when the Knicks start to have the lead slip away. I do feel like that's probably a point in contention in that locker room because we've let the third quarter slip away in like 3 or 4 straight games. Last night's game was different. Last night's game was the first time where we didn't let the third quarter get to us, and we actually scored around 26 points and built the lead. Matter of fact, we had a 21-point lead in that third quarter. But at the same time, when that happened, you know, Nerlens Noel, he got in foul trouble, right? But also, Cat got his 4th foul in that third quarter. And when Cat got his 4th foul in that third quarter, 2 things happened. Cat was pissed. He got a tech. He was pissed on the bench, ready to get back in the game. And at the same time, the Knicks started to, get the engine running. And we started to run off. We started to run away with the game a little bit while Cat was resting on the bench. Okay? Now, I do feel like at a certain part in that third quarter, the Knicks were a little bit too content with just, with just winning. I do feel like there was a point in the game when we were up 21, we were getting whatever shot we want, and the defense didn't have the same intensity they had before, just because mentally they're like, oh, Cat's out the game, and we're just going to coast. And I do feel like it kind of bit us in the butt a little bit, you know what I mean? Because at that point when Cat was out the game, when we was up 21, that lead should have been up 25. That lead should have been up 30. That was the time for the Knicks to step on their neck. But what I felt like was happening was, we started to get lax in our transition defense a little bit. There was a play specifically where Hernan Gomez hits a 3 because Randle didn't really close out on the shooter, and he was like talking smack to the bench, to the Knicks bench. Like plays like that started happening towards the end of the third quarter to kind of cut that lead, and the momentum shifted a little bit, and it put our bench in a little bit of a bad position. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, fourth quarter hits. Tom Thibodeau, he has his set rotation. He's like, fourth quarter hits, I'm going with the bench. What happens? Fourth quarter comes. Randle's sitting down. RJ Barrett sitting down. Cat is back in the game. And this is a key moment. And this is when they start to go on their run. Like first play out the gate, Cat is posting Obi Toppin. It's like, you know what I mean? Out the gate, Cat is posting Obi Toppin barbecue chicken. Easy point. Puts him in the post. Easy points. Go. They're cutting the lead. Now Cat's pissed. He's getting loose. There's nobody to contend with, right? Next play, we have Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickly. They're not really running the offense. This game, besides Elfrid Payton, the ball movement wasn't really there. We only had 17 assists this game. I felt like Emmanuel Quickly was in foul trouble, and he was trying to put the onus on himself to get back in this game and put his stamp on his game, and he started to press. He got a little bit dribble happy. He was shot hunting. He missed a shot. Boom. Timberwolves go on a break. They score another basket. All of a sudden, Timberwolves on a run. Tom calls timeout. Gets Randle and Noel and these other guys back in the game. And it started the snowball. It started the snowball effect. And from then on, I still do feel like the Knicks just lost concentration, man. The Knicks lost concentration. I saw a few times when two people were going to the roll man on a pick and roll, leaving Cat open for an open three. That was pivotal for us. You know what I mean? There was miscommunications on switches. There's miscommunications everywhere. It took a minute for the Knicks to kind of get recalibrated to playing the type of defense that Tom Thibodeau wants to play. And we're kind of fortunate in that, you know, this Timberwolves team, as good as they are, or as good as they were playing, they're not used to finishing games. Because I do feel like if this was a better team, this game would have been an L for us. And we were fortunate. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we did what we had to do. We pulled out the win. We got the shots we wanted to get. I was still kind of concerned because the shooting still wasn't good. We only shot in the 30s from three, but we were able to win this game. Pivotal point of this game as well. Noel gets a foul. One-on-one Cat versus Taj Gibson. Cat is posting Taj on the block. Taj does his best because, you gotta remember, these guys are teammates. These guys played each other. You know what I mean? These guys played each other. But it didn't matter. Cat posts him up on the corner. He sees Reggie Bullock for the double team. He spins away, tries to do like this kind of fading one-handed hook over Taj, rims in and out. That could have been the game. That one shot really might have kept Ryan Sanders' job, like dead ass. Like dead ass. We really were fortunate. We really got lucky. And not only that, I'm not going to say completely lucky because Alec Burks hits the free throws he was supposed to hit. Julius Randle hits the free throws he was supposed to hit. RJ Barrett, he made tough plays. So, like, the slightly more experienced team won, and that's why we won this game. But going forward, I'm not even sure if going forward this season if we're going to solve these problems, because going forward, we're still going to have to find scoring from the bench consistently, one. And two, we're going to have to find a way to increase the spacing, man, because we were able to play the zone and we were able to take advantage of those guys slacking off of us in that first and second quarters. But when that fourth quarter came, I do feel like our team was a little bit tight. And those shots that we were hitting in that mid-range to, get these guys soft and to make plays, we weren't really hitting that in the fourth quarter. And we weren't doing that with confidence. So, when this trade season starts to come, because it is trade season, and, there have been rumors that the Knicks are kind of looking to make moves. There was some rumors that Roar West was like looking through back channels to try to make a move. And I'm not sure how aggressive or not we're going to be in that regard. But it does make you wonder, like, where the Knicks stand in general on making the next step, because it just seems like this team is good. We're a good team, or at least we're in the pack, we're in the mix. But it just still seems like we need some more consistency off the bench and a little bit more scoring for that point guard position. And we might not get it this season, man. We might not get it this season. There might be something that's going to happen down the line, and we not be able to solve it. But a win is a win. At the end of the day, a win is a win. We got the W. We didn't nick it up. We're 7th in the East. It's a tight East, so we're like a halfway game away from 6th. We're still in the mix, and we needed this win. A loss to this team would have been catastrophically bad, like catastrophically. You know what I mean? A loss to this team would have been catastrophically bad. But I'm glad we got the win, man. I'm glad we got the win. And Julius Randle, I never seen Julius Randle smile so much in my life. in my life, man. He's really enjoying these games, man. I'm happy for this guy. I'm really happy. This is a New York guy, man. A guy who's taking his lumps, taking the boos, turned around, and now we're winning. Happy for him, man. Happy for him, man. Happy for Randle. Happy for this team. Now, let me look into this comments and see what you guys are writing. Shout out to everybody, man. Salute to the chat. Salute to everybody who rocks with the KOT. I wasn't really able to do the post game with CP and Ash yesterday, but I'm glad I was able to talk with you this morning. Impromptu post game. I didn't even have no graphics for it, really. I'm just here kicking the facts, kicking it with y'all, and just talking Knicks with my people who I love. All right. So let me see what's in these comments. Greeley says we're a 6th seed that can win more games if we were able to score more. Yeah, I agree with you, Greg. I agree with you. And that's why we even made the Derrick Rose move, right? The Derrick Rose move was so we can get some more scoring here, especially off the bench. Because it just seemed like we was depending so much on quickly to make the moves that it was putting a little bit too much pressure on the rookie. That's why he's here. So maybe that move will, work out for us a little bit more towards the end at a more consistent basis when he gets more reps in. Time will tell. But that's exactly why he's here. Now, will we make another move for another scorer somewhere down the line? Because we still have Alec Burks here and Reggie Bullock, who, they're good in spots. They're good in spots, but it's not consistent. Who knows? Mark Confessor Clement says point guards not looking to pass, all looking to get their buckets. We have no plays setting up cutters. Obi cutting would fit that perfectly. Yeah, man, and that's interesting thing as well, because what I liked that Derrick Rose did when he first got here, but he made it a point to seek out Obi Toppin on fast breaks and on cuts. I feel like over these last 3 games he hasn't been doing that as much. I kind of feel like he's been looking to draw fouls, or sometimes he's even driving into 2 or 3 people. And maybe that's partly because maybe guys aren't running with him as much, or maybe it's a mix of him having to be a little bit more patient and having me a little bit more patient in general. But hopefully they look at some game tape, because 17 assists isn't good. We're not gonna beat a lot of teams with just 17 assists. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy that Elf. I gotta give Elf credit. 7 assists today from Elfrid Payton. He actually played more like what I wanted to see him play like this whole season, with the 7 assists. So we need that from both guards, the guards from the point guard, from the starting guards to the backup guards. We need more passing in general, and not just from Randle. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out to you. Yeah, shout out to you as this is you. This is the early show, man. Early show for the Win Guys. Celebrate with you guys, man. We celebrate with this Win Guys. Celebrate with you guys, man. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with the KOT show, man. I just did a breakdown for you guys. Now I'm just talking to the comments. I know it's early. None of y'all was expecting this, and you're like, oh wow. Didn't expect this from JLS and the KOT show, but yeah, this is really impromptu, last minute type of stuff. Didn't really get to watch the game yesterday. I was up 2 a.m. watching this game, so I could talk to y'all, man. Like 2 a.m. watching this game, so I talk to y'all. So shout out to everybody who's rocking with us. KOT show. Please like, subscribe. You should see me I'll be on the next episode of with CP and Ash and them for the next post game show. You know what I mean? And also shout out to Ryan G. Shout out to Ryan G, man, and shout out to my guy across the YouTube channel. We should be doing like a recap show today to talk about the Knicks and the All-Star bid and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So salute to you guys and everybody in the chat. All right. Let's look in these comments. Knox in for boy. All right. Yo, you know what? I thought I was going to see Kevin Knox into this game, man. I thought I was going to see Kevin Knox. I saw Mark Berman reported that the Knicks were mixing and matching. They were kind of experimenting with different lineups. And Kevin Knox was in practices playing a 4, you know. And I do feel like it's kind of, I get it. I get that he's fell out the rotation and we're winning now. We're going for wins. But I didn't expect for him to completely fall out the line. I'm not going to lie. I know he was missing in shots, but I did kind of feel excited that I thought he was taking a step in the right direction. It'll be interesting to see if he gets his shot to get back in the rotation. But I don't think it will, because, you know, when you're looking at games like today when the bench isn't producing at all, and you're like, all right, if a coach is searching for an answer, if he wants to try out a bench player, it might be a time when the bench isn't producing. And we still didn't see Knox, we still didn't see Frank. So I really don't see when and if these guys will even get back to rotation. I don't even know if these guys will be trade bait, you know what I mean? But we'll see. Azelius U says, honestly, I don't think Randle gets in. I feel like coaches have it out against the Knicks because of Frost Day. I believe you, man. Listen, Julius Randle definitely belongs in this All-Star game. I know his main competition right now was with Bam Adebayo. And as good as Bam plays, I think everybody keeps saying that Julius Randle doesn't play defense, but that's last year's version of Julius Randle. It's not this year's version. If you're watching Julius Randle this year, he plays a lot more defense. And I don't know the stats off my head, but I do know, you know, a lot of our better defensive lineups have Julius Randle involved in those lineups. You know what I mean? So he's actually a plus on the defensive side of the ball for the first time in with the Knicks. So that shouldn't even be, you know, an issue anymore. I understand Bam is, you know, he's more gifted defensively for sure. But he's not dependent on night after night to produce like Julius Randle is producing. He's not the first option on a team with a better record who is in playoff position right now. So if you factor in that, you know, Julius Randle, this team goes where Julius goes. Point blank period. If you take Julius Randle out of this equation, this team is not in the hunt. I don't think you can say the same for Miami. And for that reason alone, Julius Randle deserves to be an all-star. Point blank period. Like, I don't know the numbers off my head, but I'm pretty sure that he's contributing more to the win shares for the Knicks than Bam Adebayo is to the Heat. Just because of how the offense runs through him. You know what I mean? Coach Carter says Knox has been placed on a situational rotation list. Whatever the hell that means. Yeah, the situational list is hilarious to me, though. To me, it's a lot of these, like, I know it's Valentine's Day just passed, man. Like, a lot of these players are in situationships right now. You know what I mean? And they want to be wifed up. Right now, situationship is not the way to go. Situationship to me means you need to be looking for a new team at this point. Possibly, because the Knicks might be shipping you. I'm not sure. I'm definitely not sure. Yeah, exactly. And SK says it back, man. Bam is not averaging 22, 10, and 5. He's not. He's just not. So it should be easy. There's only a couple of players in the NBA who's even close to doing that right now. And that's Jokic and my guy from the Bucks. So it should be an easy decision for these guys, man, for these Knicks fans. I mean, for these coaches to vote Julius Randle in. He really deserves it for the first time. All right. You know what? I'm gonna wrap this show up, man. Thanks for everybody who rocked with me. I can briefly recap this Knicks win over the Timberwolves if you want. Reiterate my key points. Notable players in this Knicks win: Julius Randle, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 8 of 16 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Also, R.J. Barrett, 21 points, 10 of 20, 50% from the field, and 4 rebounds. And also Elfrid Payton, who I felt like took another notch to his game with his 7 assists. Those are my guys who I feel like were notable in this win. Also, honorable mention, New Orleans Noel played pretty good defense on Cotton in the first half. But our center depth hurt us for sure. We really missed Mitch. We had Taj Gibson playing those backup center minutes instead of New Orleans Noel, and that hurt us in the long run. But all in all, we still got the win. I do feel like if Derrick Rose and IQ, if they start playing the games that we start to play, these games won't have that much weight. You know, we won't be feeling the pressure as much, and we'll be able to put teams away. I do feel like the Knicks slept on the Timberwolves a little bit, and that's why they were able to get this win. But at the end of the day, the Knicks got the win. Our experience kind of showed a little bit, you know. R.J. Barrett versus Anthony Edwards. R.J. Barrett gets that all day. He little brothered him. Anthony Edwards didn't really get off. Michael Beasley, the same thing. Knicks wings did their thing against those wings. Those guys didn't get off at all. And the Knicks did their thing and were able to score and play defense on a consistent basis and get away with that win. All right? Salute to everybody. If you enjoyed this breakdown, if you enjoyed talking on the chat, this is Impromptu Live. Please hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Next time I do this, I know I have my guys with me. I'm going to have Ryan with me. I'm going to have Ro with me for these post games. The only reason I decided to do it this morning was because tonight we're going to be recording our little weekly recap review videos that we usually do from week to week. And it'd have been a lot for those guys to do, you know, the recap show, the morning recap, plus the weekly review. So I didn't want to put that on those guys. So I decided, you know what? Last minute, I'll do this recap show this morning for you guys, give you guys some content so we can actually celebrate these Knicks wins, man. Because you know what? We didn't get this last year. We didn't get these wins. And even though it's not a big win, it's not a win that we're proud of. It's a win. It's a win that, you know, last year we wouldn't have won. Last year we would let this game slip away. You know what I mean? So we got to celebrate the wins that we get and celebrate that step because we are a bit closer to being a prominent team. And it's looking like it's a play-in or playoff situation for these New York Knicks if we keep on the right path. Next game, the Golden State Warriors. We have the Golden State Warriors up next. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got something. It says, Coach Carter says, Jay, let's talk about the interview CP did with the Timberwolves beat reporter. I didn't catch the whole interview. I only caught a little bit of that interview. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it was good. It's been a crazy weekend. But I caught a little bit of the interview. When they were talking about you know, the different. We all know why Coach is doing better here, right? This coach has the type of players that are gym rats, that like to work hard. They handpick players who do that for you. And I know, and that's why even our defense is that much better. They have the personnel is built a little bit different. And also on top of that, you know, they gave Tom a little bit too much power over there at the Timberwolves. And it's a different situation here. It's more of a by committee here. I know Tom has his input because we have Derrick Rose here, but you know it's more by committee here, so he doesn't have absolute power. And that's the way you want to build your team. You want to build your team with a bunch of gym rats. That's why it kind of works out that we have a bunch of Kentucky connection here. You know what I mean? And so I think we're moving in the right direction. I feel like we'll continue to keep doing that moving forward. It's a formula that's working. It's a reason why Tom Thibodeau, at this point, he's smiling for the first time. You know, he's smiling for the first time. I think I saw Derrick Rose. He said in an interview that this is the first time he's seen Tom Thibodeau smile in a long time. I mean, ever. And it's because he has players from the veterans to the young guys who were all gym rats, and they're putting 100% effort in it, and that's something that they couldn't say with the Timberwolves organization, man. So, at the end of the day, Knicks got this win. The Knicks got the win. They didn't say they did for the coach. What I read was Tom didn't really put any extra emphasis on this game. But as a team, as a teammate, as a player, you kind of have to know, right? You kind of have to know I have to get this win for the coach because this coach's old team. So you got to get that win. You got to get that win. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it, man. Yo, congratulations, Tom Thibodeau, best coach we had since Mike Woodson, man. He's putting us on the right path. I don't always agree with every decision he makes, but I do know he extends the fundamentals. He's a teacher. He's a guy who's gonna drill things in your head, and he's not just gonna have you going into games unprepared. And that's what I appreciate about Tom Thibodeau. Now, I wish that he let some of these younger tier guys get some minutes in. I wish that Obi Toppin only got 9 minutes. I wish he got a little bit more burn. But with Tom Thibodeau, you just have to take the good with the bad, man. You just have to take the good and the bad. And these young guys are really just gonna have to take it. They're gonna have to take it in practice. They're gonna have to put the reps in, and they're just gonna have to take it. And from what I've heard, that these guys are gym rats. So maybe even if you don't see it right now today, on February 22nd, we probably will see them take a step at some point if they are still here when they take that step. You know what I mean? All right. That's all I have to say about that. All right. SK says Tibbs has his way. He be about greedy win now approach instead of building long term. Yeah. Tibbs is a win now guy. We all know he was a win now guy. He's not. He's the 11th most winning coach in the NBA for a reason. It's all about the wins for Tom. All right. All right. So shout out to everybody who's watching KOT show, man. Salute to everybody who's watching. Hit that thumbs button if you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed the breakdown. If you enjoyed the interactive with the tat. Definitely check out the next episode. I'm gonna be recording with Raw, and we'll be recording with Raw, and we'll be recording with Ryan G tonight to do our Knicks weekly recap show. And so definitely look out for that, and I'll definitely be collaborating with CP and Ash on the next show. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for the support, you guys. I'm out. Shout out to SK for the super chats, man. It goes a long way. It helps support the writers and helps keep these things going because I do have expenses and stuff. So definitely help. Thank you for the super chat. And yeah, I'm out.